Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin, HR Advisories. I'm here at the Metal Investor Forum in Toronto, pre-PDAC, February 27th. I'm here with Jeff Wilson. Jeff is the CEO of Precipitate Gold, PRG on the venture, PREIF in the US, QB, I think. As some of you know, some of my subscribers know this, I was one of the founders of Precipitate way back in the day. I have no position with the company, but occasionally Jeff will call me up and ask me what I think about this, that, or the other thing. One thing he called me about recently was doing a large placement with a group of very wealthy, very influential Dominican investors, basically the same group of guys that have become very large shareholders in Gold Quest Mining, which has the Romero deposit next door to Jeff's Juan Herrera project. I was an enthusiastic proponent of that. They did the placement. Anybody that looks at the chart can see the impact of bringing this new money and these new shareholders ahead. The stock's doing great. More to the point, more importantly for me as a long-term shareholder and fan of the company, is you're now really well funded to do the drilling that we've all wanted to do for so long. And you didn't do it for a while because Gold Quest had to get through its stuff, and it probably wouldn't have much impact. But in this market, both because it's a bull market and because Gold Quest is full steam ahead, I mean, I think if you can pull good holes now, it's going to be like night and day. You'll get a lot of traction. So you just announced that you signed a drill contract. What does that mean? I mean, can you kind of tell us, where do you start? Where do you go? What's it look like in terms of, very general timelines going forward in terms of drilling? Now we're kind of good to go.
Yeah, I mean, that project really sort of emerged a little bit out of left field for us. I mean, that was a project, as you know, that Barrick spent $7 million over 5 years in exploration on an earning agreement with us. They give it back to us last April, and in most instances, you sort of say that's that, and gave it a college try, and we move on to something else. But credit to the technical team, and Michael Moore ripped through the data, evaluated that, and identified this chargeability anomaly underneath this lithocap zone that appears to have never been tested with a prior or historic drill hole. So we put that together with our own geophysics to sort of refine that target, sort of late last year, and that kind of came together early this year where, there it was. And importantly, in fact, going back and looking at the historic data, to our mind, it has not been adequately tested. So we've been doing a lot of sort of preparatory work, and as you mentioned, we just put out a news release where we've signed a drill contract. We'll start drilling on that likely in the month of March. It may be a couple of weeks, but certainly shouldn't be much more than a couple of weeks from now when we get started. We've been clearing access paths, preparing drill pads, and so and putting together the team and going through the health and safety procedures with the staff and everything. So we're pretty much ready to go. And the rig that we've secured is in country. It's available. We're not waiting for it to finish another job. It's sort of down the road, if you will, in the DR. So that should help to expedite getting that started as soon as possible.
Okay. And of course, Juan Herrera has been a longtime favorite of mine. You guys did a lot of work. I mean, you did a lot of work a few years back, and because of the market being what it was 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of those samples and stuff you held back on them, but mid last year, late last year, you guys started getting all that large sample set analyzed, and Mike's been back in there with the IP and stuff. How is that looking in terms of, have you got a sense of how many targets Mike feels strongly enough that he wants to put holes in?
Yeah, I mean, it as you say, the last 12 to 24 months was really an exercise in compiling geochemical data, gold and copper specifically at surface, with subsurface IP work and chargeability in the surveying that we did from the geophysics. And what we've identified is multiple targets where those two anomalous areas, the chargeability and the geochemical surface, line up quite nicely. And they're quite sizable. Most of them strike kilometer and a half. Almost all of them are untested with a prior drill campaign. And so part of the process right now is to sort of try to ground truth those a little bit. As you say, Mike's been down there several times in the last several months, plotting up where these drill pads might be constructed and how we might tackle some of these anomalies. And so, it's looking like we're probably going to have somewhere in the ballpark of 3 to 4 distinct sort of target areas, all of which are quite sizable. And, which one we'll drill first may have to do with the hierarchy. It may have to do with access and, what we can get into easiest. But there's no question in my mind that all 4 or 5 of those have merit and will be drilled sequentially in some order. So, I envision that, each of those targets will get minimum 3, maybe up to 8 holes, depending on how things go. And so, I can envision a 8 to 10,000 meter drill campaign at Juan de Herrera,
Right.
testing multiple targets. And a program like that could run the better part of the calendar year.
Yeah.
So lots of drilling, lots of meters. And, what happens from there obviously is going to be dictated by what kind of assay results we get and whether
Yeah.
we sort of, latch on to something that we want to continue on with further delineation drilling, or if, wherever we go first, maybe it doesn't pan out and we move over to the next one. So lots of work to be done.
Yeah, it's music to my ears. I mean, Juan de Herrera was staked because it's right next to the Romero project that belongs to Gold Quest. Gold Quest has got a 3 million ounce deposit there. The Torreo belt of volcanics, and there's not that much of them. I mean, the national park eats up a big chunk of the belt. So you and Gold Quest have pretty much got everything that's left. I mean, it's great geology, but it's not simple. It's not one of those places where you go, yeah, I'm going to go stick one hole in this target. I mean, to really maximize your odds of success, you got to be doing 6 or 8 holes in every target. So, I mean, it's music to my ears that you guys are talking about, 10, 12,000 meters. Like you're not screwing around here. You're gonna give everything a proper shot. And
Yeah.
with these new investors, I mean, those strike me as guys, because I think they did it with Gold Quest. They strike me as guys where, if you guys budget out a big drill program, it's like, yeah, we probably need another $1 million. I mean, those warrants that those guys have, I'm sure you call those guys, it's going to be like, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're definitely on side for, if there's gold there, we want to find it. And to your point, Mother Nature can be challenging sometimes. So even though we've got a number of targets, I think it's a little bit like playing the lottery. You want to have more more tickets if you want to increase your odds of winning. So we've got a number of targets. Which of those will pan out, if any, we don't know. But I think, if we latch on to something, the ability to continue on, as long as the science and the data says, we haven't exhausted everything, we'll keep going. And these investors have already, approached us about, what additional capital might you need? Do you want to us to exercise our warrants? Do you want us to consider an additional financing? So they're all in, and I think they understand the timelines and the challenges that exploration has. But again, if there's gold to be found anywhere on our property, we want to make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned.
Yeah. No, it's a really exciting drill program, and I really like to target at Pueblo Grande too. And much like you, I mean, you did a fantastic deal with Barrick to get them to spend all that money and put money into PRG when the market was terrible. And when they handed it back, much like you, I was kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting that Mike was able to sort of tease this target out of it, and then you guys did some of your own IP. And it's a really, I mean, chargeability versus gold, I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, but that's a really, really strong chargeability anomaly. Like, that thing really lights up.
It does. And I mean, we talk a lot about the chargeability in the geophysics at Juan de Herrera. It's been a really important tool for ourselves and Gold Quest and others in the belt. But when we look at that chargeability target at Pueblo Grande, it's 2-3 times stronger charge than anything we see at Juan de Herrera. So it really, really lights up. And it's sizable. It's 800 meters by 400 meters in area, and it's relatively near surface. It's from about 100 meter depth down to about 330. So, it's a very exciting, compelling target. And it's one of those things, when we got the property back from Barrick, your knee jerk is, well, if Barrick didn't see it, there can't be anything there.
Yeah.
And so I know Mike and the technical team were, even internally, when they saw something, were a little bit skeptical and didn't really want to buy into it until they had really gone over it, multiple times and looked at it 6 ways to Sunday to sort of make sure, are we crazy or is there really something here? And sure enough, going and doing our own IP geophysical survey there with a specific focus on identifying and refining that target, there it was. So, much to our surprise, quite frankly,
Yeah.
there was something that we think is still worthwhile there and needs to be tested.
Yeah. And, importantly, not to get too nerdy about it, but, there does seem to be a reasonable resistivity high there too. And that's, I mean, to me, that's important because the guys next door, and in this case, next door is Barrick, Pueblo Viejo, basically I think it's the biggest, in terms of production, the biggest gold mine in the Americas. It's a huge deposit, but the gold came with the silica next door. So you do want to see that. You do want to see the resistivity along with chargeability. So, who knows? Mother Nature,
Yes.
Mother Nature can be cruel, but fingers crossed. It's a great target. So I'm really excited to see that one tested. I'm really excited to see you guys do a big multi-target test at Wanda Herrera. I mean, I am probably literally the longest term shareholder of the company, but I was happy to buy more when you guys had the Dominican show up. So I'm looking forward to this year. Hopefully it's going to be the big payoff for all of us.
Yeah, it's a rare. I would say, I've said to some people the other day that it's really the only time in the existence of the company where it appears that all the sort of ducks have lined up in a row here with respect to the the broader markets, access to capital, the government policies and permitting seems to be sort of streamlined. The community relations are going well. Targets have been delineated, and we've got the capital to be able to do a sustained, meaningful drill program. So for the first time in a long time, everything seems to be lining up, and so it's a perfect time for us to go and really hit these targets and hit them hard.
Booyah. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.